And welcome to Converse in the Ninjaverse, episode 123. I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
And we don't have Will again this week. He's on his way back from Myrtle Beach. I think he's home now, but we decided to do it without him. So here we are.
And he's missing episode 123.
He is missing episode 123. It's kind of like 3-2-1 contact. We should have done like all sorts of sciencey stuff on this show.
Now, when we do episode 321,
that
3-2-1 contact. This episode, we're going to have a bed of Jackson 5, 1, 2, 3, ABC playing in the background the whole episode.
There we go. And you'll hate us even more when the show's done. Just for that reason. So anyway, we'll get into the box office to start. Coming in at number one for the third week in a row is Straight Outta Compton. Took in $13 million. Is taking in $134 million total. Doesn't look to be anything, I think, coming out that's going to knock that out of the top spot, at least this week. I don't think there's much coming out. Number two in its first week is War Room. That took in $11.3 million. And
what is War Room?
I forgot to look up what War Room is because I'm a horrible, horrible podcast host.
Yeah. I brought up the wrong page. Straight Compton Mission of Life. Are you sure there's a movie called War Room out?
That's what it said.
Oh, here it is, War Room.
I've been drinking, but I haven't been drinking that much.
A seemingly perfect family look to fix their problems with help of Miss Clara, an older, wiser woman. Filled with heart, humor, and wit, War Room follows Tony and Elizabeth Jordan, a couple who seemingly have it all. Have it all. That should be a period. But it's a hyphen. Great jobs, a beautiful daughter, their dream home. Now there's a period. This is IMDb, so somebody who doesn't know how to write who then starts the next sentence with, but appearances can be deceiving. Maybe their keyboard's broken. In reality, comma, their marriage has become...
On this week's Converse in the Ninjaverse, we become the grammar police.
I'm not becoming. It's just hard to read. I hate grammar police people on like social media. Somebody misspells it and they're correcting you, and it's like, all right, I made it. But this is a post. This isn't. Hey, I threw something up on my Facebook page. This is IMDb.
Yeah.
This is. I went to go find out what this movie is about. Yeah, so it's some kind of a family drama.
Yeah, okay.
Bunch of people I don't know in it.
All right. Fantastic.
It's I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but it looks to be a black movie.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a predominantly black cast, so I'm not hiding anything. So, Alex Kendrick, yeah. It's not even a Tyler Perry movie. So, yeah, it's some kind of a family drama.
Okay. But that took in $11.3 million in its first week. Coming in at number three was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. $8 million for the weekend, 170.2 total. That's in its fifth week. That's been still doing pretty well. Number four is No Escape. That's also in its first week. Took in $8 million. That's the new Owen Wilson in the Middle East with his family.
Getting out of the Middle East when some shit hits the fan type of thing.
Not without my daughter, but more action.
Without my family.
So that since its first week took in $8 million. And then coming in at number five is Sinister 2. That came out last week. A little under $5 million for the weekend. 18.5 total. I still haven't seen the first Sinister. I don't know if you caught any of that.
No, I haven't yet. I'm behind on my horror movies again.
Um,
I'm playing catch up a little bit. What about Agent 40, Hitman Agent 47?
That didn't do so hot either. I think it might still be top 10. Might be like 6 or 7.
Because I heard not great things about that. And that was one of those movies I was surprised they made another one of those.
Yeah, I
didn't think the first one did.
Yeah, I don't remember the first one. It's another one of those video game movies that just doesn't do what, didn't do well, doesn't do well.
I know the first one had Timothy Olyphant in it when Timothy Olyphant was all over the place.
Yeah. But I don't think that's really not doing well. But I mean, again, it's a video game movie that just it has its audience, but
yeah, it could. I'm sure it does well international. You know, because you know what it reminds me of? A like Transporter.
Yeah.
Just something that people are going to go see. And I don't know if it's because it's a bald guy in a suit, but
yeah. But coming in at 13 is our good friend, the Fantastic Four. And that has taken in a grand total of $52 million. They were predicting like $50 million opening at least. And it's, it's 3-4 weeks now that it's been out. And that might end up being the bomb of the summer.
Now, my question is, do we have enough time to shoehorn in Fantastic Four into Civil War?
I don't know. I've kind of heard that they've wrapped.
Yeah,
filming.
I know.
I'm actually hearing rumors that we might see a trailer soon.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how true that is, but
yeah. I would think like Christmas the earliest for a trailer for that.
But
it seems there's a couple movies. And I guess every summer some movies really take a dump. When you get stuff like Fantastic Four, you get stuff like any of the video game movies, I guess Pixels included.
Yeah.
I did see a great post about Pixels that was like, you can go see Pixels or just stay home and watch the Futurama episode that's essentially the same thing.
Good point. That is actually, I think that is in the theater across the street, so I may go try to catch it if it's still over there. Just because, to me, it looked fun. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to win any awards or get any great reviews, but it looked fun.
This seems like it's just been a very odd summer for movies.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been stuff that we thought was going to hit and didn't. There's been stuff that we thought was going to be misses and hit, and then there's been stuff that, we knew were going to be misses and missed horribly. Like I thought Terminator was going to do better than it did.
Yeah.
Mad Max did well, but
Mad Max not only did it do well, it seemed like everybody that saw it loved it. And the honest trailer for Mad Max was great because it talked about, holy shit, they did practical effects.
Yeah.
Which could be cool. That now, if they decide to bring back the concept of the practical effect, that some of these studios decide, hey, people don't want to watch everything be an animated stuff. The superhero movies kind of you have to have animated things if men are going to fly and pick up cars and things like that. But, practical effect creeping back in is hopefully a good thing.
Yeah, prime example is episode 7 that which we're getting in December, that they did a lot of practical effects on it. So, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that medium kind of coming back, because I think it does, and I think we've even talked about it a little bit, where, the too much of the CG and all that kind of does take away from the movie.
Yeah.
The prequel trilogy a prime example of that, where there was so much stuff and there were scenes that were just pure, purely computer generated, and it looked like it. And I think that did help. The movies did suffer because of that.
Yeah, I guess we'll. I guess it's a wait and see, and maybe they're going to fine tune it, and if CG gets better and better, and they learn how to combine it the way certain people have figured it out.
Yeah.
I have hope.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to go completely back to practical effects, and I don't think we're going to,
And I don't know if I'd want that to happen. I think, there's got to be some kind of a mix.
Yeah, I think a good solid mix, and I do think we're going to see that in December with The Force Awakens. I think we're going to see a good mix of the two. I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the comic book movies have done a pretty good job of making it work, with a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a decent screen and there's some things like that, but they've done well. Speaking of superhero movies, Ronda Rousey has been offered the part of Captain Marvel.
Fantastic.
But it's not the Marvel Studios one.
No.
She has been offered the part of Captain Marvel in Captain Marvel XXX, an Axel Braun parody. Ronda Rousey has been offered...
Don't do it, Ronda. Don't do it.
Where's the money? Where's the money? $5 million to be in a porno movie.
I don't think,
And apparently this same guy, he offered Ben Affleck's nanny $1 million to appear as Batwoman in Batman vs. Superman XXX.
Fantastic.
So this guy, he gives it a try.
Yeah. And, you kind of knew that was coming.
And apparently the offer that was sent with all kinds of apologies in front of it. Just so, I guess, so if this guy is ever standing face to face with Ronda Rousey,
she doesn't knock him the fuck out.
Yeah. Rip his arm off out of his socket. Nobody cares about getting droids upset. Droids don't rip your arm out of your socket when they lose.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey's been known to do this.
Especially when she gets offered a role in porn. Well, I guess we'll touch on kind of we'll get the sad news kind of out of the way first, I guess. And that is yesterday, we lost Wes Craven to brain cancer at the young age of 76.
He had been fighting the cancer for a while, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I almost forgot about it, and then I saw that he died, and I'm like, oh yeah, he'd been sick. And Wes Craven, as far as iconic screenwriter, the characters, the things he's developed, I always talk about Wes Craven and that, and developing the Nightmare on Elm Street film and the character of Freddy Krueger,
who has become one of the most iconic horror, villains ever.
Yeah. Freddy is really the standout of that, even though he was never my favorite out of the slasher genre of the late 70s, early 80s, early 90s. Freddy was the standout because Freddy was the personality.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
He was a little different. He wasn't just the straight, come at you with a machete kind of guy.
Well, almost, as that series continued, Freddy almost became the hero. That you were almost rooting for him.
Yeah.
As much towards the end of that, by the time you got to the fourth and fifth one, it had become like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you just wanted to see Freddy kill these kids and get away with it at the end, but he always, ran into the brick wall.
Yeah.
But and then Craven also did Scream,
which kind of reignited the genre a little bit, and made it fun because it was all the rules from the earlier 70s 80s slasher flicks.
Yeah, it was an homage to what he had done previously, and the same thing with New Nightmare. New Nightmare reinvigorated the Freddy character and took it in a different direction, and wound up being when you're looking at the 6th or 7th installment of that series, it wound up being a really solid movie that was a fresh take on something that had gotten stale. Bringing up Wes Craven stuff, 72 he did Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastically brutal movie. And that's a horror movie that's based completely in reality. That's that fear that just about everybody has, that some maniacs could
move in next door
at your house.
Yeah.
Hills Have Eyes he did in 77. He wrote the screenplay for Swamp Thing in 82.
Yeah.
So he's got a comic book movie to his credit.
A pretty solid comic book movie for the time.
Those early days. If you want to talk about comic book movies from the 80s, Swamp Thing is right up there, probably with Batman.
Yeah.
And the Superman movies, even though Superman was 78 or whatever. So I'm looking at. All right, after he did a Hills Have Eyes sequel, then we get into some Nightmare on Elm Street movies. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he wrote, yeah. He wrote the first one, and I guess he wrote the third one. It looks like here, he's just getting credits for the characters. Freddy's Nightmares, the TV show. Shocker, Wes Craven's Shocker.
Yeah.
That had Mitch Pileggi from X-Files as a undead. He was a murderer who was given the chair, and somehow when he was given the chair, he became a kind of a Freddy Krueger that lived in your television.
Huh.
He became an electrical-based killer.
I vaguely remember that one. I don't think I've seen it in 20 years.
People Under the Stairs, which was a solid early 90s, kind of forgotten horror movie. Good creepy one. Flipping through, just about everything he did got remade.
Yeah.
Hills Have Eyes got remade. Last House on the Left got remade. Nightmare on Elm Street got remade. Scream's been rebooted, I guess, is the...
Yeah, it's been rebooted as a TV show now, I guess. On MTV or something like that. Because, when I think TV shows, I think MTV.
Well, yeah. Well, they did... they had a hit with Teen Wolf, so I guess that's the...
Yeah. Which had nothing to do with the Michael J. Fox movie.
Exactly. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Yeah.
You know how TV shows are produced. Take somebody else's idea.
Like Buffy kind of at least somewhat,
All right, I'm just checking to see what he directed here. He directed Last House on the Left. He directed Hills Have Eyes. Stranger in Our House, the TV movie he directed.
Okay.
He directed Swamp Thing. I don't know whether I ever knew that.
I don't think I ever knew that either.
He directed the original Nightmare on Elm Street. He directed 5 episodes of the 80s Twilight Zone. He directed something called Case Busters for the Wonderful World of Disney.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Serpent and the Rainbow, Deadly Friend, Shocker, Night Visions, which was a really cool. Night Visions was an anthology series that I've checked out. That was pretty enjoyable. New Nightmare. He directed Vampire in Brooklyn.
Fantastic.
Bringing it back around. We're talking about Vampire in Brooklyn recently. Will would be losing his motherfucking mind right now.
Last episode, we talked about Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yes, because what do we get Vampire in Brooklyn confused with? Once Bitten?
No, Shadow of the Vampire.
Shadow of the Vampire. That's it. Oh, it wasn't even
a legit vampire movie.
He directed Scream. He directed Scream 2. Oh, this is always a weird one. He directed Music of the Heart. Oh, that was like a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
He might have. He has a couple other credits like that. I forget what the movies are. I mean, there's some things here I don't necessarily know what they are. But Red Eye he directed. So they got a highly prolific career that spanned the course of 3-4 decades. You know, you're looking at stuff in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010. You know, he was all across the board. So that was that's Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Great, great filmmaker, great, a couple iconic characters, some fantastic films that still hold up.
Yeah.
That and have all remained better than their remakes.
But yeah, so we lost Wes Craven, which as we said, great filmmaker and kind of a bummer that I didn't even really know he was sick.
Yeah, well, brain cancer, that's a rough thing. So, it's one of those things I kind of chalk it up to that the man's at peace now if he's dealt with the trauma of that and the pain of that. It's 78. It's not a bad run.
Yeah.
For what he accomplished.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's one of those names when you hear Wes Craven. It's right up there with like Hitchcock, King. That name stands out.
Yeah.
And we kind of petered out. This has been
a bumpy show, man.
There's a guy who made a bunch of great movies. He's dead now.
He did.
He did the hell.
But I guess since we're kind of talking horror movies and whatnot, not yesterday Sunday, but last Sunday, we had the premiere of Fear the Walking Dead. I'm a week behind because I didn't watch last night's, but so far I think it's actually better than I expected.
I think it's acted well. I think the story, I think it's written well.
Yeah,
I'm just not necessarily enjoying. I don't like the characters.
Yeah, I don't really care. I mean, I'm going to give it. I think it's 6 episodes for this first season, kind of like they did. It's like 6 or 8 episodes, kind of like they did with the first season of of The Walking Dead. I'm not really into the characters, and some of that I kind of chalked up to. I knew for the most part, I knew the characters of The Walking Dead previously to the show. So I already kind of had an attachment to the Grimeses and Glenn and, Andrea and those characters. Here, it's a completely new group of characters. I do like the idea of seeing it as, as things are happening, where with The Walking Dead, it happens, it basically gets rolling once Rick wakes up from his coma. Where here it's the early days of the plague.
To me, it just kind of, I have that feeling for seeing so many different zombie movies, Night of the Living Dead, and anything past it, that I've seen all right, here's the zombie outbreak movie a bunch of times. So, this is long form. And I kind of feel the way it's structured and the stories that they're telling with the characters and the subtext of what they're doing, I feel like they're fishing for an Emmy.
Yeah, that's possible.
I think they're trying real hard to fish for an Emmy because we've gotten I know you said you didn't see the second episode yet, but the first episode was 90 minutes. The next episode was an hour. So in 2.5 hours, we have not gotten, the zombie stuff is very limited and it's very disconnected, I guess, from, this is definitely a character-driven piece so far.
Yeah.
And to me, it just feels like they're fit because they're telling the story of the drug addict. They're there's commentary about police brutality, about government cover-up, about not caring about your fellow man in general and looking out for yourself. And because of that, the world falls apart.
Yeah.
I think the subtext in it is so heavy-handed, I'm almost distracted by it.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way as well. But I'm going to give it, I'm going to at least give it the season.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm not, 6 to 8 episodes. It's not a huge investment. I was kind of talking, I know they're bringing it back for at least the second season. I know a second season's been greenlit. There was a part of me that I was talking to my wife tonight about it. And there's a part of me that would almost be like, I kind of wish that like these characters' story arc gets wrapped up in those 8 episodes.
I completely agree with you. I would like this series.
We go another go to they're out in LA now. Okay, we go to Ohio. Next.
Yeah, what's going on in Chicago? What's going on in Texas?
What's going on somewhere else? But I don't think that's going to be the case, and that's kind of where the series kind of loses it for me a little bit, because it's like eventually we're going to get to where we are in the regular Walking Dead, and if I want to get to that point, I'm just going to watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need to watch a show with characters that I'm not necessarily as emotionally invested in. And as I said, I was reading the comic before the show came out, so I knew I had an attachment to these characters. So that's even why, like with the main series, that when it deviates from the comic book enough that it shocks me, and like I get I don't want to say I get emotional, but when a certain character meets his end or meets their end, that's still alive in the comic book.
Right.
You kind of have that, there's more of an attachment, and the feeling is more where it's like, okay, I know what, like going into the season, I know somebody from this family is getting eaten.
Yeah.
And, I'm only 90 minutes in, but right now I kind of don't really care.
I don't care. I don't like any of them.
I'm kind of like, okay, I want the daughter to get eaten. I know that the junkie son is probably, a prime. And that's like the other thing. Like I get that they wanted, kind of a flawed character, and they needed him to kind of set the story in motion. But it's like, okay, is it going to be 8 episodes of him going through withdrawal now? Yeah.
Well, you know what? And that's one of the things too, that the flawed character, the junkie, the heroin addict, is that like sexy flawed character. Drunks are, portrayed differently, but that heroin addict, that's like, he's got issues and it's deep, man, and look at how good he looks because he's so skinny, and it's
yeah.
But in real life, it's like every junkie I ever knew, every heroin addict I ever knew was a complete and total piece of shit.
I'll agree with that.
And
absolutely agree with that.
I wouldn't, maybe if it's your brother, if it's your son, you feel a little different. But when you see what, when you're living that life and you know what junkies have put people through, and I'm almost kind of tired of that story. There's enough movies about the heroin addict and romanticizing, that character, that I'm done with it because I've seen enough of it, and I've said, is it romantic when the fucking heroin addict dies in a house living with his sister and his 8-year-old niece, so that she has to live her whole life knowing that her uncle died in a bathroom one day doing drugs? Yeah. No, it's like I don't care about that character. I don't care how pretty he looks. Because that guy is pretty like a girl. Like in the trailers, I thought that was a chick.
Mary looked at him and said, "If they need a young Johnny Depp, he's the guy to play Johnny Depp. The Johnny Depp character." And I just that was the thing. Like I sat here for 90 minutes last night and watched. Like I missed it. I missed the premiere because I was supposed to be at Van Halen, but David Lee Roth got the sniffles, and then I decided to watch SummerSlam instead. So I didn't watch it. I figured, we'll catch it, the following week. So we ended up watching it on demand last night, and I really sat there for 90 minutes, going I just kind of don't. I don't care about these characters' story.
Yeah, and because I feel like it's all been told before. I feel like the parents are like, we're the teachers that are too cool for everything. And the mother that knows all of her son's heroin doing habits, but doesn't know that it's like his friend that's selling him. It's like, it's there's little things like that. And that's that we're reaching for something. It feels almost a little like this is, it's an after-school special that has zombies in it.
Yeah, that's kind of
like Sense and Sensibility with zombies. This is an after-school special with zombies.
Yeah, it kind of is. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
And maybe it'll pan out. I don't necessarily hate it. I'm just not intrigued with what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean it's still early yet, but at the same time, if they did, they ordered 6 or 8 episodes, that doesn't really give you a lot of time to establish things. To get me to come back for season 2.
Yeah, and I still have the theory. We were talking about this. A bunch of guys at work. We were talking about the show. And I've said this in the past about the original series, that the zombie thing is only that shitty, like down in Atlanta, like that south, because it's Atlanta and they can't get their shit together.
Yeah.
And like Los Angeles is the perfect place too, where it's like everybody only cares about themselves, so shit would really hit the fan. But I'd like to show like how things are in like New York and Massachusetts, like the Northeast is just like, yeah, whatever. They're zombies. We've been killing them. It's all right.
Yeah, and I mean, it's. I don't know. I'm not condemning it. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad show and whatnot. But I mean, it broke all sorts of records last weekend. It did great ratings last night. They're doing now. They're going to be doing and this kind of. I'm starting to feel like, all right, now we're kind of starting to do a little too much. I was perfectly content with the main series, the occasional webisode, but now they're talking about doing a 30-minute Zombies on a Plane special.
Okay.
That's going to tie in. It's going to be a Zombies on a Plane special. It's going to be 30 minutes. It's going to tie into season 2 of Fear the Walking Dead. Because there's going to be a character that survives the plane crash or that survives the zombies on the plane, and they become a character in season 2. How true this is, I don't know. But at that point, I'm starting to see shark jumping happening.
Yeah, Yeah,
you know,
that's getting a little.
you're gonna really kind of get us to a point where we just, we're just gonna be like we've talked about with the superhero movies. It's just gonna be too much. I'll still tune into the main show because I'm invested in those characters. We're going on 6 seasons now. Come October, I am invested in those characters. I want to find out where their story goes. But
yeah,
trying to bring me on to new stuff, I don't know if that's. It's at times it just kind of seems like a cash grab in a way, where it's like, all right, this show is a monster. Let's, pun intended, let's get as much out of this as we can. And that's kind of almost why I wish, in a way, if they did if they continue this Fear the Walking Dead, maybe they bounced it around a little bit from around the country or even other countries and see what's going on elsewhere.
Yeah. I'd rather it become more like a, I don't know if anthology series is the right word, but every season it's different characters. And I mean, they could, if they set it up and maybe bring back some of those characters later on, maybe in 2 or 3 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead, some characters from season 1 show up. You could do interesting things like that. And then you can kind of go back and, maybe they establish a couple things. And then if it becomes a full-time series, you get what these people are doing in Los Angeles, what these people are doing in Chicago, what these people are doing in Alaska.
Yeah. Maybe not just focus on one, one area and kind of, even during the course of a season, go back to LA, go to Cleveland, go to wherever,
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. And again, 6 to 8 episodes. I'm going to invest in it. At least that. We'll see if I'm on board for season 2 by the end of this.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a show.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. It's nothing, it's not Zombie Nation.
Right. But it ain't quite Walking Dead yet.
It ain't quite Walking Dead yet.
But we'll see what it pans out to be.
We'll see what pans out. So I guess that's really kind of all the horror stuff I have. Another interesting bit of news that's come out in the past week or so, maybe even come out a little bit early last week, but we didn't do a show, is that it sounds like Man of Steel 2 is on permanent hold.
Yeah.
Which kind of is surprising.
A little bit.
I don't know. Permanent hold could change tomorrow, but with all this talk about trying to get the the DC cinematic universe really up and running, as much as we bitch about every movie that DC Warner Brothers pumps out is either Superman or Batman.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're putting one of your big guns, one of the 2 big guns, this next movie on hold is kind of surprising.
Yeah, they have just kind of been scared of Superman.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I guess they just haven't figured out what they want to do and how they want to write the character and how they want to develop it.
Yeah.
And, I guess we'll see what happens with this next movie and what direction they're going to want to go in.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, but that, if they're going to put Superman, the second Superman movie or Man of Steel movie on hold, what does that bode for? We know Affleck just signed on for 3 standalone Batman movies. Where does that kind of leave the other Justice League members? We're supposed to be getting Wonder Woman. I think we're getting Aquaman.
Yeah, maybe Superman just kind of becomes the guy that shows up and everything, but then that's kind of a cop-out for no matter what you have in the movie. It's like, oh, well, Superman showed up, and he's just going to... I kind of feel, and we've talked about this in the past, it's just like so many people don't know how to write Superman.
Yeah.
Because they can't put him in any type of believable turmoil.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's, he's Superman. It's, how threatened is he really going to be by
anything?
Yeah, by anything. Yeah.
I don't know. I think with any of the DC stuff, I think it's just going to be wait and see with these next two movies. We got to see how it works, and now that they're doing a cinematic universe, how it shakes out.
Yeah. And maybe they are kind of waiting to see what happens with this, with this Batman Superman movie.
Yeah. Maybe if it doesn't work out, the rights, they're just going to send the rights over to Marvel.
That's possible. You could finally get that amalgam universe,
Yeah, there we go.
Dark Claw versus, Oh, that was a mess. But yeah, that's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens there. The other news coming out of DC is that DC Warner Brothers is regarding the TV shows, and that's the Flash has cast Zoom for season 2, and it's he's going to be voiced by Tony Todd.
Yeah, I was going to say I just imagine that it's Tony Todd voicing him.
Yeah,
and not actually portraying the character.
Actually portraying him, but he's going to be voiced by Tony Todd, who, for those of you that don't know, he played Candyman in those classic horror movies. So that's going to be, that's some interesting casting there. And also, there's rumor that Green Lantern is going to show up on Arrow at some point. And you had an interesting theory on that.
Yeah, it's been I had the theory, and then I've seen it reiterated in online. A lot of people have been talking about it, and I don't even know if I talked about it on the show or not. And that's that the John Diggle character could become John Stewart. Whether he's John Stewart Diggle or whether he gets a different identity after all the Arrow stuff shakes loose. But his character kind of fits into the John Stewart world of being the military guy, of being, and then having the close association, the Green Lantern, Green Arrow friendship, even though it was always Ollie and Hal Jordan. But there's an interesting dynamic there. And it's, they could do a couple interesting things with it, where if the actor decides he wants to leave and do other things, it's a good way to write him off the show. Yeah. That you make him Green Lantern and he leaves to kind of go and learn to be a Green Lantern and then comes back at the end of the season to help out with something when they're fighting, whatever, giant monsters, whatever, What does Green Lantern fight? That big cloud guy from the movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like any DC hero, he just fights a villain who has the exact same power as him, but a different color scheme.
Exactly.
Malcolm Merlin and Sinestro will team up to fight. Yeah, and we're going to do this again. Yeah, I'm kind of, I have been, with all the shows being on hiatus for the summer, I've been catching up on movies, but I'm getting to that point where I'm starting to miss my shows. I'm ready for Flash. I'm ready for Green Arrow. I'm ready for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm ready for Grimm. I'm ready for Once Upon a Time, all the stuff that I've been watching.
Which looks like they're bringing Merida from Brave into Once Upon a Time this season.
Yeah. Yeah, they do... They're doing a better job now with it of kind of introducing the characters and giving them a bit of a story arc. Where in the past, I feel they dropped the ball with some of the characters where it was like, oh, we had Cinderella on for like an episode and a half, and now we've never mentioned her again. Maleficent, they had very early in the series and kind of killed off the character, but then they brought her back again.
Yeah.
And she was a major part in this past season. So, with Once Upon a Time, that's definitely a show that I think has gotten better, at least with the way they've handled the characters. And they haven't been heavy-handed with the things. They had the Frozen characters on, and it wasn't, it was a well-developed story arc, I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't just them running around singing "Let It Go" and hawking merchandise.
Yeah. And they do an interesting thing in that show where they kind of give you a story arc for half the season and another story arc for the other half.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of dealing with two different villains through the course of a season. Which makes it interesting. And then there's always underlying plot stuff. I don't know. I'm getting... I guess I'm getting that fall feel, like being a little kid waiting for my shows to come back.
Yeah, it's that time of year where stuff is tomorrow's September 1st, so stuff should start premiering in the next couple weeks.
And football is getting ready to start.
Yeah, football's getting ready to start, and it's a good time of year.
It's a good thing Will's not here. It'd be all upset that we're talking about football.
I know we got football starting. Another month, hockey starts. We got postseason baseball coming up. It's a good time to. It's a good time of year.
Yeah.
Some sport where they bounce a ball starts. I don't really watch much of that. But it's we got a lot of interesting to see where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. picks up. Gotham is coming back for its second season. They're kind of teasing possibly Joker and Harley, but not.
Yeah, but they did that all last season.
I think they're gonna continue doing that. I think they're gonna say, this. They're gonna introduce you to a character and kind of say, kind of give you some hints that this could be the Joker, this could be Harley, and then
Gotham. I feel like it's a show that's trying to do something. It's a show that's trying to be its own thing, but then just keeps giving you this fan service to keep you on the hook, I guess, or keep other people on the hook. But I don't know. I'm gonna see what Gotham does next year, or this season coming up. I might be getting ready to give up on it.
Give up, yeah, which is understandable.
Yeah,
because it really does kind of seem like they're just kind of. I don't know if they really have a real direction. But so that's really what I've got as far as Marvel or as far as DC movies and TV shows go. Really only have two things left, at least on my list, to talk about, so it might be a short show this week. But Vin Diesel teased that there's going to finally be an Iron Giant sequel.
Yeah, which as much as I like that movie, I don't know where a sequel goes to.
Yeah, I don't really know where a sequel goes, and that's probably my second favorite Vin Diesel movie now after Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved the original Iron Giant. It's actually, from what I hear, it's actually going to be coming back into theaters 2 weekends, September 30th and October 4th. It looks like they're doing an anniversary remastered in theaters of Iron Giant. So might have to go check that out because it's a great movie.
It is. And it's done well. Maybe they could do something if they skip some time. Maybe the kid is grown up now. Maybe he's got his own kid. I don't know. I guess there's a story there. I just don't know what it could be. You know, that first one to me just kind of came off as that perfect little movie.
Yeah, and and it's one of those movies that I don't think it really did great when it I think that was another one that kind of picked up steam.
Yes.
Once it hit TV and video and stuff like that. Because I know I didn't see it until it was on video, but once I saw it, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I was the same way. And I don't, it didn't get much. I kind of remember it just kind of going, and petering out in the theater, and then everybody kind of saw it, and I'm like, oh wow, what a great movie. It had an unusual look, I guess. So it took it a little bit to find its footing, and then people kind of heard, oh, this is a Brad Bird movie, and he did The Incredibles, and this is almost as good as The Incredibles.
Yeah, yeah, and it really kind of is.
Yeah. What else you got?
The last thing I've got is, and this is kind of I don't want to turn this into a rant, but next Friday, September 4th, they are referring to as the Force Friday, which is going to be the day.
Wait, the what? Oh, the Force.
The Force Friday.
Okay.
Or Force Friday. I don't know if there's a "the" in there, but that is going to be the day that all the Star Wars Episode 7 merchandise hits the stores.
Uh-huh.
And that really sucks because I don't want to see it. I don't want to be spoiled. I already know too much. I'm hoping that whatever they put in the stores is kind of non-spoilery.
I feel like they have to. I mean, J.J. Abrams has always kept things close to the vest. Star Wars traditionally has hidden things like Yoda and different plot points from the characters. Like, when we were kids, it wasn't like they put out the Luke, I am your father, special edition Darth Vader.
Yeah. But I'm kind of nervous about even just stumbling upon something and getting something spoiled for me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because I've already seen, and I haven't personally looked at them because, as I said, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to be spoiled. But stuff got released from D23. A lot of the pictures of some of the merchandise got released from D23 a couple weeks ago. We talked about. I saw something when I was doing some research for the show tonight that the Luke Skywalker black figure, from the Black series, pictures of that got released. Of course, I didn't click on it because I don't want to see it.
Right.
I want to be surprised. But at this day and age with the internet, it's kind of harder and harder to be.
So what are you saying? That we need to hibernate until December 18th?
Pretty much. I need a lot of beer. Send pizza regularly, I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna. I know I'm not gonna be able to completely avoid it all, but like I even joked with my wife that as of like next Friday, I'm gonna send her into Target, and I was in Target yesterday, and the entire toy section where the Star Wars figures would be is empty, and they're just signs saying new Star Wars merchandise September 4th. So, and it was kind of gender neutral. So, but which we didn't talk about. We were going to talk about on the last show, but we didn't talk about was the guy that all the people that were complaining about Target making their toy section gender neutral, where they
we didn't talk about that the last show. I thought we did.
We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it. We were going to, but we didn't. So
the guy made the fake, did the fake Facebook account and just slammed everybody that was upset about the toy aisles being gender neutral, or at least, I mean, it's just gender neutral. They're just taking away the thing that says girls' toys and boys' toys. There's still going to be an aisle of dolls and an aisle of action figures and an aisle of stuffed animals and an aisle of...
it's not like they're just saying, like, and I mean, it's not like, kids are going to go in and be confused, but,
and I mean, it doesn't really make a difference because the toy companies aren't being gender neutral. They make pink girls Nerf guns now, so girls can have a Nerf gun.
Yeah. But this guy, he created a fake Twitter account or a fake Facebook account. It was like, how may we help you or something like that, with just a, the Target logo. And, people were posting on the Target Facebook page of all this, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. This is horrible, blah, blah. How are my kids going to know the difference between a Barbie doll and a Star Wars figure now that it doesn't say boys or girls? I don't know what to do. But this guy trolled the hell out of him, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he really beat the shit out of them, and they were like, it's just one of those things that people complain about, and then I don't even know what they're complaining about. I mean, people were like, well, how am I going to know if it's a boy's shirt or a girl's shirt? And like they made the whole store gender neutral. Just the toy aisles are going to not have boys' toys or girls' toys. And it's, it's not like little girls are going to be walking through and not know what they want. They're still going to want dolls. And it's just, kids know what they want. And if your kid wants this or if your kid wants that, if you got a little boy who wants one of those kitchen sets because he watches mom cook all the time, or maybe he watches dad cook all the time, and he wants to pretend to cook. Let him get a kitchen set, and then, somebody might, it's not going to hurt anything.
No.
I'm not a huge fan of, when those people are like, oh, I bought my son dolls. So it's like, well, did your son want dolls or did you just buy him dolls?
Yeah.
It's because you got to be too hip for the room.
Yeah.
It's people get upset because they think they're just going to force this, like it's going to make your little boy have to have a Barbie doll now, or make your little girl have to have a truck or whatever. And, there are little girls that want to play with trucks, and there's little girls. My niece the other day was playing with her cooking set and mixing whatever imaginary cake she was making with a toy drill from my nephew's toys.
It's the only way to cook, man.
Yeah. She, she's got her little car that she rides around on, and she takes the tools and she picks it out and she works on it. Because sometimes you got to work on a car.
Yeah.
Little kids are going to do what they want to do. All right. You know what? I don't think I told this story last week, but here's a good little kid story. And this is my niece, who is 5. My parents took the kids to church, and my niece brought one of her stuffed dogs with her, and she's very intricate with her stuffed dogs, and they all have names, and they all have there's a line of FAO Schwartz stuffed dogs that come with little blue ribbons, and she has 3 different ones. She has a German Shepherd, she has a Golden Retriever, and she has a Boxer.
I was going to say she better have a Boxer.
So she got the Boxer first, and then she got the Golden Retriever, and she's got the German Shepherd. So she had her German Shepherd with her, whose name is Maria. And when they kneeled down on the kneeler, she put Maria down on the kneeler, and she told my mother that Maria is going to pray. She's going to pray for her father and her uncle because they died. And my mother's like, okay. And my mother was telling me about this, that they died. So I asked, I'm like, Kaylin, adults, what happened to Maria's father and uncle? Like, they died. And she goes, she's like, and she's explaining to me because she knows that I know the dogs. She's like, yeah. The Boxer who was Cindy. She goes, Cindy's the mommy because she's the oldest one, and then Gracie and Maria are the 2 sisters. They're Cindy's daughters. I'm like, okay. And she goes, and father's dead and the uncle's dead. And I'm like, how did they die? And I fed her a little bit because I know the way that this, the kids think. So I go, were they soldiers? Were they fighting against monsters? And she goes, yeah, they fought. And she gets like, with all the seriousness of telling the story like it happened. She goes, her father was fighting a monster, and he got scratched really bad. And he was hurt for a while, and then he died. And her uncle, he got eaten by a monster. And I'm like, all right. And then it gets into a grandfather, who I've never heard referenced before with these dogs. And he leads the dog arm. You know, he leads all the dogs. He's in charge.
Oh.
So there is this little girl who loves her little pink dresses and her stuffed dogs and stuff like that, has imagined a horrible war between stuffed dogs and monsters. But then I kind of felt that it was, it kind of told the story of what a stuffed animal really does. You know, a little kid goes to sleep with a stuffed animal as a means of protection of those monsters that come at you at night. So your stuffed animals really do, in your mind, keep those monsters at bay.
Yeah.
But apparently, in this little girl's brain, who doesn't care about if the aisles in Target are matched or not, marked boys or girls, her cute little stuffed dog's father was murdered in a monster war.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fish for more information. I'm going to find out what the monsters were like and what started the war.
And how long has the war been going on?
How long has the war been going on? I'm intrigued now with the awfulness of this terrible
I'm kind of intrigued, too.
Monster war. And are teddy bears involved? There are other stuffed things.
Oh, of course.
I need to find out. I need to look more into it. But that's that's the nature of kids' toys. Kids are gonna enjoy what they're gonna want to enjoy. Kids are gonna play with an empty cardboard box.
Absolutely, I was just gonna say that.
When I was a kid, my mother got her dollhouse from her parents' house and brought it home, and that dollhouse got filled with G.I. Joes, and they were hanging out the windows with guns. Having a battle with Cobra.
Yeah.
When I was a kid. And even though I knew it was a dollhouse and it was doll furniture, it just became action figure furniture.
Absolutely.
And if somebody said, "Oh, it's a dollhouse," I'm like, "Well, what's really the difference?" I'm not putting a doll in it.
Well, technically, you're putting a doll.
It's an action figure.
It's like that scene in Spaceballs. No,
Yeah.
sir, I didn't see you playing with your doll.
Oh, you give such a good helmet. All right, we're getting a little punchy now.
We are getting a little punchy. So I guess that's all I've got, unless you've got any other great.
No, I'm about out. I didn't really see much. There's the basic stuff. I could rant and rave about the VMAs and but we're just gonna sound like angry old men. We've talked about this.
I do have to say, with the VMAs, I saw a great meme today, and it was Kim Kardashian standing next to, or it was like Kim Kardashian on one side and whatever the hell she was wearing, and Danny DeVito's penguin, and they were wearing the same fucking outfit.
Fantastic.
It was fantastic. And Kim Kardashian's ass was about 6 miles wide.
I do as much.
And supposedly, our favorite rapper of all time, Mr. Kanye West, is running for president in 2020.
Fantastic.
Well, I guess if Trump can do it,
yeah, why not? Some other idiot blowhard.
Yeah.
I'll wait. Golden Gods, I guess, has been the music awards show that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Since MTV just decided to pretend that metal doesn't exist, even though the albums are selling real well. But I guess that's not, it's not what the kids are listening to.
It's not
even though I
Miley
keep running
Cyrus.
into kids to.
Yeah, it's not Miley Cyrus or One Direction or something.
Well, One Direction, packed it in.
They did.
And on the same day that I heard that One Direction packed it in the same day, I also heard, on the other side of that coin, that Axl and Slash are on speaking terms again.
Which is amazing. And that's just that glimmer. Just that glimmer.
Yep.
That we may, before we're, hey, if David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen can patch up their differences and
not do a show for you
and not do a show for me, 31 fucking years since Van Halen 1984 came out and I was introduced to Van Halen, I've wanted to see this band. I had got tickets for my birthday. Was ready to go last Sunday, and David Lee Roth got the sniffles and canceled the fucking show. But I did see an amazing show the night before.
Yes, you've discussed this.
Rick Springfield. So
Rick motherfucking Springfield.
66 years old as of last Sunday, and rocked my fucking face off.
Now, the other Guns N' Roses thing I saw was that 2 of the 3 guitar players quit the band.
Of the current lineup?
Yeah, Ron Thrall, Bumblefoot, he's out, and DJ as it's not Ashmore, but a DJ something with an A. He quit as well.
Oh,
so there are 2 guitar players down. And I've also heard that Izzy Stradlin and Duff McKagan are working on an album together.
Ooh.
So there's irons in the fire, and maybe that perfect storm. I mean, Slash right now is happy where he is. The stuff that he's doing with Miles Kennedy is really good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So maybe things come together. Maybe there's some kind of, Izzy's never going to go on tour again. But maybe they got one show. Maybe there's one bit. Like the Elvis comeback special in Hawaii. Yeah. We get Guns N' Roses reunited, do a show, tear it up, and then just go away. Or they do or they lock themselves in a cabin someplace, the 6 of them, and write an album,
which would be awesome. Because we haven't had a Guns N' Roses album since,
I think 2008 was Chinese Democracy.
Which
I
don't hate.
It's not a bad album. It's just not a good Guns N' Roses.
It's not a good Guns N' Roses album, but I don't hate it.
You go back, you listen to it. Sometimes I put my iPod on random and it comes up, and I'm like, one of the songs, and I'm like, oh, I like this song. I'm like, oh, this is one of those Chinese Democracy songs. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
There's always hope.
There is hope. So that's where we'll end the show. We will end the show on a hopeful note that maybe we will see Guns N' Roses again.
A new Star Wars movie.
Guns N' Roses.
Comic book movies at the yin yang.
Yeah. Might be a good future.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Everything is coming up Millhouse.
Well, thank you and good night.
So, on that note, you know where to find us. We're on Stitcher. I don't think we're on iTunes anymore. Ninjaverse.wordpress.com, Ninjaverse.facebook.com. We're both on Twitter, but we don't really tweet much. Will does all sorts of gaming crap on his things. So, on that note, we'll see you next week. I'm Chris.
I'm Mike. Nobody likes Millhouse.
Nobody likes Millhouse.